Hello and welcome to this week's Our Game in association with our great sponsors, Lottoland. Delighted to be back once again. Nisha, it's fair to say you have to dress for the weather.
Yeah. Sunny out, boy. Absolutely roasting. But sure, I never have these off anyway.
It's absolutely glorious, isn't it? Like it's just, even the clocks have just changed. The evenings are longer. The ground is harder. You can feel championship in the air nearly, can't you?
Yeah. It's the best. It's class. Like I love it. I love this time of year. I love the club championship season as well. Like, like that kind of when it's still dry and crisp around like kind of end of September, October. But this time of year, when the evenings just start getting longer, and like this today now, like in my job as well, it makes the job so much easier when it's sunny and hot. But yeah, championship just around the corner. Not like it.
It's at times that like these kind of weeks where you're like, geez, wouldn't it be great to be a farmer or involved in horses or something like that? But they go through some absolute slop as well for the bad months of the year. But it's great. It's great to be out in it. It was obviously a belter of a day down in the park last Sunday as well. We just fly through those games real quickly, Nisha. We obviously go through the main event as well. Cork kind of once they got their goals, that was kind of that really, and it was damage limitation from a Tipperary point of view. And listen, to be fair, they did limit the damage somewhat. They obviously it didn't get any worse on the scoreboard, but it just shows you that when Cork are hot, they're nearly impossible to play against. Now, that's not to say that they're going to be hot all summer, and they're going to have some blips, and they're going to have some rocky little patches like they had last year. Plenty of them. They're nearly out of championship on a couple of occasions, but when they're good, they're very good.
Yeah, that's the thing, is when they're good, they're absolutely class. Like, and they're like by a mile been the best team in the league, like by a mile. Like that was the thing. Like Darragh Fitzgibbon, Barrett, Hayes, Connolly, like back at his best nearly again. I think he is so class. Always did. Ahern back after being brilliant against Kilkenny, wasn't as good, but was still pretty good. Tim O'Mahony midfield, like as well. They have such a strong panel. Like, so we talked about this before, like, but they've such a strong panel, like from goalkeeper all the way to, like, they probably have 10 forwards that could start on the team easily. But yeah, once they get going, it's so hard to stop them because they're so athletic and so fast, and then they'll have like such skillful players as well. And like, even again, like Declan Dalton wasn't a part of it, and still they had outlets to win the ball and still were creating goals and still finishing the goals. Look, all 3 goals were like so like expertly finished as well. Like, goalie, no chance. I know maybe Ethan Toomey's one, they were saying on commentary the goalie wouldn't be happy, Hogan wouldn't be happy with it. But when you see it being replayed, it was like barely inside the post and it was blasted. He would have been doing very well to stop it. I know it was across him and onto his probably favourite side to stop it, but it was an unbelievable strike.
Pow straight in, 2-footed here. He just says, is this the show to review Cork's All-Ireland win at the weekend, Mick? Limerick, Tip and Waterford to get our Munster. Believe that. That would basically be the All-Ireland finalists from last year, not qualifying for Munster. I don't know if that's a genuine opinion, Pow, but there's a lot of people. It's hard not to get a little bit carried away with what Cork are doing at the minute. But by Jesus, there is going to be a fair amount of turbulence between here and the second last Sunday in July. Like, they were nearly out of the championship last year. They were poor against Dublin. They were poor against Offaly. And then they turned it on maybe from there on. But of course, there's going to be ups and downs. There's going to be injuries along the way. There's going to be dips in form. The thing about the dips in form is that there's a wealth of lads to come in if certain lads go out of form. And that's the danger from a Cork point of view. If you play yourself off the team, you've been on teams, Nisha, down through the years where once you're on it, like, you can hold on to your jersey. The consistent 7 out of 10s and you're probably holding on to your jersey. But once you lose it, it can be very, very hard to get it back. So I don't see there's definitely not going to be any complacency or anything like that. Why would there be? But they are going to have plenty of bumps along the road too.
No, yeah, that's the thing. They've nothing to be complacent about. Like, a league title is great and all that, first one in however many years. But what do they have to be complacent about? This is the thing. It's like, I don't think they're going to win the All-Ireland. If you ask me today, I don't think they're going to win the All-Ireland. I still think Limerick have massive improvements to make. I actually think there's another gear or two in Waterford as well. So, I wouldn't be picking them for the All-Ireland right now. But the league campaign was unreal. Like their league campaign was absolutely as good as it could. Like just when they decided they were betting the team and wanted to pull away, they just buried them. Like they buried Tip very, very early by half time, or well, before half time, you were going like, God, this could be anything. And the Waterford and Offaly game was probably similar enough, where
just a quick one back for a sec. What's the basis on Cork not winning the All Ireland? Is it more to do with Limerick than Cork?
I think so. Yeah. I just think I wouldn't pick them as number one to win the All Ireland yet. I just still think that Limerick have too much to come back with.
Are you one of these where I'm kind of like this way? Until they do it, I won't firmly believe.
Yeah, kind of like it's the same as any team. I would like it would have been the same as you know, when I was growing up, like, you know, you go 98 All Ireland final, Kilkenny get beaten, 99 All Ireland final get beaten, and you're going up in 2000 kind of going, well, Offaly beat them 2 years ago, you know, are they going to lose 3 finals in a row? Same kind of a thing, like, you know, and whereas everybody outside probably would have been saying like, oh, we're sure Kilkenny, they're bound to do it now, but sometimes it doesn't happen, you know, so just until they do it, yeah, exactly. Like, remember I said earlier, maybe a couple of weeks ago, I said, wouldn't shock me at all if Cork win Munster, but then Limerick win the All Ireland. Like, so
yeah,
that could easily happen, because Croke Park is different, as you know, as we all know, and this, that, and the other. But like, I just like they're it's probably 1A, 1B maybe with Limerick slight favourites. Limerick, Cork are the top two. They have to be the top two right now. You'd be saying Clare should be coming back, but then like Shane O'Donnell being missing is just such a massive blow that like they have to be knocked down the pecking order a bit. I know a few people were high on Tip, but I wouldn't be as high on Tip as a few people were at all, and not just because I'm from Kilkenny. I know they showed flashes in the league, but like Limerick beat them in the league with probably, you know, 11 new players that wouldn't usually be starting. So it's a tough one, but like, yeah, you'd be saying probably. And then look, I don't know what the hell, you know, Kilkenny or Galway are going to be like in Championship at all, or Dublin or Wexford. Like, it's too hard to tell on the Leinster side, really, because the league form, you could just scrunch in a ball and you throw it out the window. It was so kind of uninspiring, really. But that's why Cork are such a hot topic. Like, it's Cork hurling number one, but then also they won a league for the first time in how long, and they looked untouchable in an awful lot of their wins.
Yeah, just on Tip, there's probably some. Listen, I think the deficiencies were going to be showing up at some stage. I'm not quite sure if Sunday was a good time for it or not, or maybe they're better to know Sunday going into the first round of Munster. That they have a couple of little problems, but like some of the problems, I'm not sure if they can be sorted in the long term. One being probably a pace problem, two potentially being a bit of a class problem, and particularly up front. And there's probably a mix of the two. Even some of their classier players maybe even just can't get away from defenders, particularly up front as much now. But there is a bit of a pace deficiency. And I'm not just judging that on last weekend. I would be judging that on last year as well. And that's a bit of a worry, because there's, like, they've all a lot of their conditioning work done. They're obviously, you know, consistently doing speed work now or whatever, but you're not really going to get much faster between now and, you know, next 6 weeks or that.
Yeah, depending on the training loads, and then with the matches and all that kind of stuff coming thick and fast and all. But yeah, like, I mean, this is the other thing as well. Like, I kind of thought I was on maybe Radio on Goliath talking about this early in January, where I was like, I don't really know what people expect from Liam Cahill either. Like, it's like you have to be very patient with Liam Cahill. You can't just be like, oh, he's not doing a good enough job, get him out of there. Like, you know, at the start of the league campaign, they looked really good. They obviously did the work over the winter to get ready, and they're still continuing to prep for Championship. But like you, I just don't think there's a team there that would be competing for an All-Ireland at all. I just it's just a fact. Like, you know, I just don't think they have that kind of a team at all. And you see,
I just say something to you there on that. And you know, you've mentioned Waterford. Like, I kind of could see Waterford potentially competing for an All-Ireland if they got out, but I couldn't see Tip if that. And like, neither of them might get out. But I think if you're looking at which is a better, longer term prospect at this moment in time, I would probably say I would confidently say Waterford. But honestly, and that's not just judging on last weekend. It's because, well, a good cohort of this team have been there relatively recently. Do you know what I mean? And I do think they're getting all their best players back on the pitch. And I think the sole goal of this year, I think it's mad to say it, that promotion is a bonus or silverware was a bonus, but I genuinely think all eyes are just on Munster, getting everyone back and finally ending this round robin misery.
Waterford.
Yeah.
Yeah, big time, yeah. And even looking at them there the other day, and the first game against Offaly as well, in different conditions. They were two different types of games, but they were able to handle both. That like they, I even thought that kind of after the first game was like when they were playing Offaly, like they were way more physical and used it. And then on Sunday when they had to, they did as well. But when they had to ping it around, they were well able, and they have some really, really classy forwards with a bit more zip in them and a bit they look a bit fresher. And then there's still a couple of bodies to come back in there that could add massively to that team as well. Not in the camp or whatever, so not 100% sure on what the crack is with. You hear the odd rumor about Austin Gleeson. Is he coming back? Is he not? He's going to get ready for championship and this and that.
He's a hamstring injury by all accounts at the minute.
Yeah, so imagine him going at full speed again in the middle of that team. Young Fitzgerald from Ballygunner as well. What's the story there?
He's close.
Yeah.
Matney's close, and Prunty, they're all expected to train this weekend fully.
Kevin as well, yeah. And then I seen on Instagram there again, Jack Fagan was posting pictures from Australia. I thought he was going to be back for championship, but look at who knows. Caleb Lyons as well, who knows what the crack is or what decisions they make or whatever. But I just think there's another gear or two in Waterford. Even Desi as well, like it's flashes of brilliance. Stephen Bennett too was definitely their most consistent player. He looks hungry. Shane Bennett looks. Again, I think there's a little bit more in him. He's classy. He's a very, very, very smart hurler. Good ball winner for the size of him as well. Patrick Curran looks to be enjoying hurling again. I think there's a bit more in Waterford, so I'm looking forward to see what they'll be like in championship. Yeah.
Basically, they could have a beaten Clare coming to them in Walsh Park in round 2, and it's all hypotheticals obviously, but if they were to get a result there, a win, then it's essentially beat Tip later. I think it's round 4 or 5, I think, and they'd probably get through on 4. You know what I mean? And it's all different permutations. Like, you could have a win in Clare side, obviously, coming to Walsh Park as well. But that first game for them against Clare is absolutely massive.
Well, like Clare, so defending All-Ireland champions coming to Walsh Park, like the place will be absolute. And if the weather was like this now or whatever, like the place would be absolutely swaying. It'll be swaying. It'll be class. It'll be one of the best games to be at, just atmosphere-wise, and they will be hopping for that. I'd say. And you can just kind of tell like they're all kind of bought in for it, and they all want, like Jamie Barron. There was a few things he did on Sunday against Offaly. I just thought there's the old Jamie Barron, like doing things that he's just breaking through the line, getting on the end of things, finishing passes, whatever. Just when he's in full flight as well, like I think he's as good as anybody in the country. I love watching him play.
He used to say about Shane Williams, he used to play with Wales, that they wouldn't catch him in a phone box. My God, Barron's jinx and sidesteps. Like, there's sidesteps and jinx within jinx. Like, it's all he's brilliant. And he always full floor. He
always had his hurl held like about halfway at the bottom of his grip nearly or something like that. He just he's class. And so hopefully. Be interesting to see, like, will he be kept as centre forward, or will he go out to midfield as well, or will they stick with Lyons and Conor Sheehan, or what way will they work it? Like, but they'll be watering at the mouth, like, and you can kind of tell looking at Desi as well, like he's inside, and there's more in him. There's way more definitely in him, and maybe it's just when Clare come to town, we're going to see it. So yeah, I can't wait for that match. I actually can't wait for that match.
The thing about playing Barron at 11 is, because I often thought, particularly when they played Limerick, that not that he was easy to tie up, but they'd put Donoghue on him generally, and Donoghue would go toe to toe and he'd get very little space. I remember the All-Ireland semi-final in 21. They put him in corner forward for about 15, 20 minutes. And he actually got a couple of scores, but they threw something different. Just at 11, he's hard. He's hard enough to tie down at 11. You throw, like, to be honest, the damage that Brian Duignan did at the end just shows you the benefit of having a big man on the edge of the square as well, because he wouldn't have caught that type of ball with Prunty, and it was touch and go by all accounts. Prunty could have played, but I think they were looking at the bigger picture. But like when Offaly went through one, they actually caused wreck, and that's a bit of a worry for Queally, but it's probably not a bad thing either, because they've 3 weeks to get it sorted, and they probably, by all accounts, they have a fully fit former All-Star full back to go in and sort it as well.
There was another lad, Prunty, as well. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like, I'd love to see them now. And like on that point as well, like, wouldn't it be Wouldn't you love to see them with Caleb Lyons and Jack Fagan, and maybe you try the two of them midfield to match the athleticism of Will O'Donoghue or Tim O'Mahony or David Fitzgerald maybe from Clare or whoever, that them two then can match that, because they're such powerful, they're great ball winners, but they're so powerful running forward. And then they've played as backs as well, so they'll understand the up and down and mark and the whole side of it, like, where then you could free up Aaron into the forwards maybe as well. But like, look, it's probably not going to happen. Like, but yeah, Prunty coming back again, like, geez, like, they just, with a full team, they are. I'd have them probably. You'd probably have them in the top 3 with a full team, I think. Yeah.
Do you know what Quilly said after on Sunday? He said, someone was saying, like, what's been the difference since the Carlow game? And like, they've had 6 wins on the bounce since the Carlow game. And he said they togged 26 for the Carlow game, and they had to tog 2 injured lads within the 26 just to have 26 togged. Isn't that cruel? Like, by all accounts, from what I believe, they had to even call off a couple of challenge games because they just couldn't have. They were that light on numbers. Like, the injury list they had was cat. But at least that's all kind of coming right now. And they're going to have little knocks, and lads are going to fall from here on. But at least if you're pretty much, Aussie aside, I think they're pretty much going to be starting with a full deck. Aussie's going to be under pressure for the first game by all accounts. You're going to lose a couple of lads along the way. But if they can generally keep, there's a couple of lads that they have to have fit. They have to have Prunty fit. They have to have DeBorka fit. Barron, Stephen Bennett and Desi. I'd say they can probably afford to have a couple of lads missing maybe outside of that. If they can keep that kind,
Hogan as well.
Hogan picked up a bit of a hammer the other day as well. Like, actually, he's probably under pressure, but it didn't look too bad. But he's probably under pressure for round 1.
Because that's the one, again, one of these like unsung heroes, like, where he seems to get taken off a lot. He's like a scapegoat with Waterford, where when they're not going well, they take him off. But then all of a sudden, when he doesn't start, nobody can understand why it's not going so well, and then you have to bring him back on. Then, like, so like he's one, like, he just makes the half forward line and kind of makes it tick, and then he picks up a lot of ball out of the half back line, and like, combines all that. Like, I always like, I know he doesn't come out with 3-4 points a game or whatever, but he does so much other stuff. Like, he just again, very like an unsung hero, really important player, and an absolute rocket when he gets going.
Yeah, just from an Offaly point of view, what did you make of Sunday's final? Like, but it could have been an unmitigated disaster.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, after the first probably 15-20 minutes, I was kind of going, oh God, I'd be worrying about them in championship here now, and what way is this game going to go? But like, the best thing about it is that they didn't let it go the way it looked like it was going. That they kind of, for a team that young, kind of, well, I know the mix of the older lads and the younger lads, but the younger lads didn't let it slip, and it was a lot of the younger lads who actually stood up and said, no, we're going to keep fighting here. We're going to keep fighting here. That's what I love about Dan Burke as well. He's like so young and so small, but you can play him centre forward and he'll get the ball and make things happen. And then Brian Duignan, I just thought he did what he's been doing for the whole league, where he kind of put the team on his shoulders. Like, and again, people from outside the county would have been saying, oh, geez, they'll struggle without Screeney. They'll be under pressure without Screeney. But then Duignan and Charlie Mitchell, to be fair, but Duignan mainly was able to say, well, sure, look, it doesn't matter if Screeney's here or not. Brilliant. If he is here, he'll add to it, but I'm the man here. I'm the main man here. I have the broadest shoulders. I have the strongest back, and I'm going to carry it. And that's what he did. I thought it was good, especially because he wasn't great in the first half and missed a couple of frees. I know the wind was kind of tricky and all, but like, under pressure, then he was able to answer back and then score. Like, I think he missed kind of a relatively easy one, but then nailed the 65 almost immediately after. We're going, that's brilliant there. Like, that is really good for a fella that young, especially. So, I don't know, it's a mixed bag from Offaly, where it's like, brilliant, up into 1A next year. That's what you want for a young team, to be progressing, and look, this is what we can do. But then I think it was a nice kind of a wake-up call in a way of saying, hey, this is a team of men we just played here, like the Waterford team, really experienced team. Championship is going to be like this against Kilkenny and Galway, Wexford and Dublin, except probably faster. So this is a kick in the pants we needed. And at half-time, kind of, Brendan Maher was kind of even alluding to that, like that the nerves maybe got to them. They were making mistakes that they weren't usually making, and then much better in the second half. You have to say, like, it was way better in the second half. Now, is that a mix of Waterford taking their foot off the gas and thinking, oh, we're home and hosed here, come on, we'll just see it out? Or, it's kind of, but it was a good, I thought, look, good signs, and a brilliant league campaign, excellent league campaign. You could barely have asked for more from an Offaly point of view from the league.
they conceded 9 points off their own puck out, and I think it was like the second phase of the puck out that Waterford really went after. They let the cornerback or even the halfback have it, and then there was a heap of pressure, and it's just like, I think Waterford got 11 of the first 14 points, and it looked like they were going to steamroll them, and they were 15 up. 15 up, I think, when 15 up when they got their goal, and Offaly had scored them, I think, 2-11-3 in the last, 15, 20 minutes. Oisin Kelly, like, did you see that crack with Billy Nolan going for the ball when the ball was still in play? So I think it was Duignan caught a ball, took a shot, and Billy Nolan was one of the boys was standing behind the goal, and Billy Nolan was shouting wide as the ball was going in. And he wasn't shouting it for the sake of it like most keepers do. They disappear around the post, gone to get a ball for the quick puck out. All of a sudden, the ball hits the post, and Oisin Kelly, like every good corner forward should be, you're waiting, and then the second the ball hits something, you react at speed. And he just got this, like I always say to anyone in hurling, like, it doesn't matter how the ball doesn't have to hit the back of the net. It just, as long as it crosses the line, that's all that matters. And all of a sudden, Offaly got a load of momentum from that. Kelly got another goal a couple of minutes later. Should have had a penalty for Duignan. But the one thing I will say about Brian Duignan, he's after improving no end. But if he could take off the blinkers, he's blinkered a small bit. Like, Owen Cattle was totally free on the 13th, like completely free. And it was anywhere around his body, and it was a touch and a goal. Yeah. And even for another one, there was probably a half chance, but rather than going to the inside, he went to the outside. But he was, I don't think I'm picking holes necessarily, because I think if Flanagan got that ball, James Flanagan got that ball, he turned back in and it would be in the back of net, or the ball would be across. So that's kind of the next level that he needs to go to, and that probably Offaly need to go to as well.
Yeah, because we said again the exact same thing. We were doing the Offaly and Antrim game, and exact same thing.
I remember it. Charlie
Mitchell was inside him twice, and we were saying, see, that's the difference between, being a good team and being like at the highest level. That would have just been laid off. Charlie Mitchell is standing there, just hand pass it across to him, he'd bury it. Doesn't matter who scores, it's that we score. Like, it's that's what it is. And then, like, on the puck out thing there as well, like, it's a funny one. Well, not a funny one, but do you remember Stephen Bennett actually went for goal for one in the second half? Remember, it was pucked out full back, and so, like, that was another one they were lucky to, you were saying like 9 points, like, it could have well been 1-9, and then you're what would that have done to morale at the time there as well? But like Duignan, that's the difference between the really, really classy full forwards and the just the good ones, like the good full forward, because he has all the traits, and then he's still young. Like, obviously, geez, he's what, 21, 22, like.
Duignan's 25.
Oh, is he that old?
Yeah, he is.
Right, sorry, I thought he was on one of them teams, on the first under 20 team there a couple of years ago. But anyway, that's the difference. Is like, literally, hey, you're not, D man. There's a crowd of really good lads here at county level. You have to lay it off to them, because they'll finish it as well. And, like, especially with somebody like Charlie Mitchell, or with somebody like Screeney, hopefully in championship, it's like the three of them throwing it around together, a mix of boldness, physical skill, speed, class. Like, that's a full back or a full forward line of the future there. Like, and like, again, they're throwing it around properly. Like, they could cause wreck on any full back line, I think.
Yeah. You mentioned Charlie Mitchell there. I wouldn't be that surprised. Being honest, is only my personal opinion. If he doesn't start against Dublin, his form is just nosedive badly, I would say, since last year's McDonagh final, to be honest with you. He was even taken off for Kilcormac against Castletown-Gagan in the Leinster semi-final. He was taken off the other day, got one great score, but the ball ain't sticking. And I just think even you might get a reaction out of him coming off. The way sometimes, and he might come in there and get 3 or 4 and turn a game, and then he's back starting again. Do you know what I mean? And he fits in, but he's just not on it at the minute for whatever reason. And that's a big game against Dublin first round, because I could just see it with the Dubs leaving Croke Park that night, and they knew it was not one that got away from them, but one that they let get away from them with the sending off and just conceding a couple of kind of bad scores as well, and they had to win that game. Like, I no problem in saying Dublin were the better team for probably 85% of the game, and they're real sick them ones to lose. And it's been very quiet ever since, like really, really quiet in Dublin. They were very, very close to they're obviously very, very close to promotion, but just missed out probably with the 2 sendings off in the last couple of minutes of the Waterford game and the last couple of minutes of the Offaly game as well. So I definitely think they're waiting in the long grass as well. Anything else from the league finals, Nisha, that stood out across the two of them?
Well, not really. No, not really. No, just that I think that there's another gear in Waterford, maybe another 2 gears in Waterford. I think they'll be dangerous in Championship. Their extra week at a break, I think, should benefit them. And that, yeah, that's about it, really. Yeah.
With a comment in there saying that Offaly are a good bit off the top table. Boys, I've been telling you that for a while. It's going to be if Offaly maintain their status in Leinster this year, I'd be one happy man. And then if we're able to get 5th this year and maybe get closer to 4th or get 4th the year after, I'd be delighted with that. And on the back of a 1A campaign, the key is that they beat Antrim and hopefully pick up a point or 2 somewhere else maybe and stay afloat. That's all it is. And I think last Sunday was a brilliant eye opener. They're obviously James Matton will be coming back in. Screeney played 15 or 20 minutes for the 20s the other night. I don't expect him to play senior for the guts of a month at least, but again, he might come into a game with 10 or 15 minutes to go. He's a very busy schedule coming up over the next while, and hopefully there's a couple of more lads to come back into it as well. But Nisha, to put a little bow on the league, we're going to pick our hurling team of the league, and in classic our game fashion, this has not been well prepared and it's going to be pretty much off the cuff. The only rules is that we're not allowed to pick more than 4 players from any one county, and by any one county we mean we're not allowed to pick any more than 4 from Cork. So we'll start with the goalkeeping position. Who are you thinking at there? We'll have to have a bit of horse trading here too, because you'll agree on one thing and I'll disagree on another. So we'll have to find a little happy medium along the way. So who are you looking at in goals?
It was kind of hard because like there was a couple of let's say for example Shane Dowling pulled off a couple of like real flashy saves, but then there was other parts where I'd have thought were too inconsistent and just wouldn't have went for it. Hogan for Tipperary, Collins for Cork, obviously, and sorry, Owen Murphy at times for Kilkenny again, but like Kilkenny were just underwhelming. But I tell you who I picked?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, I went with Billy Nolan because I just thought puck outs, pulled off saves, stopped penalties, or stopped that penalty when he had to pull off a few really flashy saves, but then now I know like letting the ball hit the post and all that stuff like is just like, oh my god, but that's just a howler of a thing that I've actually seen happen to another fella from Waterford. I won't name him. A minor match in Croke Park, and he went to get his hurl out of the back of the net and the ball hit the post.
Right.
It's finished in the net. Anyway, but I went with Billy Nolan. I just thought consistently just the kind of easy stuff for a goalie, did very well, and then pulled off a few really good saves. So I went with Billy Nolan.
I went with Mark Fanning. He played the whole league. They were obviously poor early doors. They probably could have shipped an even bigger defeat to Cork had he not pulled off a couple of good saves. He chipped in with a couple of long rangers as well. Billy Nolan obviously didn't play all of the league. I think he's confirmed as number 1 now, even in spite of that kind of boo-boo the other day. I think he will firmly be number 1, which is mad to think that he played sweeper at the end of the 2023 Munster Championship and played well the same day. To be fair. And I was only waiting to have the knife out. The knives are like that, sharpened up, ready to go.
Oh, but he's a good hurler. Like that's the thing. Yeah. He's a very good hurler. Like so. Yeah.
Shane Dowling will be in the mix for me as well. I've gone with Mark Fanning. How strong are you on Billy Nolan?
Sure, whatever. It was kind of one of them things. I just thought overall he was just probably the most consistent of all the goalies that I had been watching. Like just that there was some of them like that were coming in and coming out and they'd pull off something really good, but then you wouldn't see them the next week, or like puck outs weren't as good, or just general play wasn't as good, or whatever. So I just thought just overall, Billy Nolan, and like they finished with a score difference of +64. So,
you give me Mark Fanning, will you?
Go on, yeah. Leinster, go on, up Leinster.
Talk me through your full back line. I've one man anyway that definitely has to be in it, and one fella another fella that if you'd said that he would be cornerback on your team at the league, lads would have absolutely laughed you out of the room. But you talk to me there. Who are you looking at?
Oh, I'd be the same, I'd say, because you see, I went through it kind of, and I was looking at, 1A, 1B, Division 2 as well, and I was kind of going, geez, and I was going up and down. You kind of go, like, you kind of have to recognise what some of the other teams were doing, not just Cork and Tip, like, whatever. So I went Niall O'Leary, number 2. I just thought, just has to be. I don't think there was a better number 2 in the country throughout the league anyway than Niall O'Leary. I actually went with Mark Fitzgerald, full back. And then I went Tom Murray from Down, number 4. He was playing fullback and cornerback during the league. And again, they like Down win Division 2, and they actually finished with a score difference of plus 70 in the league. So I just think, like, look, you kind of have to recognise that he was not only playing cornerback in the league. So yeah, just 4, like, 4 is kind of. 2 is usually the hurling cornerback, and 4 is usually the sticky cornerback. So
I always play 4.
yeah. I never played there.
Yeah. I was just, as you were talking there, or before you started talking, I wrote down my 3. Niall O'Leary was an absolute start. He was brilliant throughout the league. To me, Mark Fitzgerald is the player that Waterford will build their team around for the next decade. Be that a 3, 5, 6, but probably 6. And even at wing back the other day, he went out to wing back to track Oisin Kelly because physically he matches up really well with him. And he 3 points scored off. Now Kelly got a bit of joy. Towards the end, and I think he got the second goal while he was on Fitzgerald. But I would have Mark Fitzgerald fullback. Barry Murphy was the one I had in the other corner. But again, it's probably for a couple of games as opposed to 5 or 6 games, if you get me.
And this is the thing, is like, I was like, well, take everything into account here. Like, so it was like, obviously I gave Barry Murphy man the match in that game against Tip. But again, it's like, it's like, just it's too up and down and inconsistent. Whereas like Murray's there, bang, full in the full back line for their whole campaign. They win the league, they win Division 2, get up into 1B, like, huge year for them. And just, you kind of have to, I just think I deserves it. Look, cornerback. Why not?
Murray is in. Perfect. Walk me through contenders for your half back line.
Contenders, so not the actual.
It can include what your 3.
Right. Okay. So you're probably talking. So, like, just one thing from Kilkenny, maybe that was a bit of a glimmer of hope, was maybe in flashes again what the half back line was doing. Mikey Carey at times I thought was really good. Paddy Deegan the same. But again, just overall probably underwhelming and disappointing that it just fell flat. So I thought the 2 of them probably deserved to be, in and around there. Rob Downey, obviously, Paddy Levy, Jason Sampson, I thought. And then again, at times, Ronan Maher, but also, like, it's like when teams play into his hands, literally, he looks brilliant. Sorry, I've an awful sinus infection.
You're all right. Fire away.
Do you know what I mean? And then, and again, you could have picked anyone from the Cork half back line, really, or all 3 of them if you wanted, really. And again, Limerick, Barry Nash at times, absolutely brilliant when he came out in number 7. Diarmuid Burns, there was a couple of games, brilliant. But again, just overall consistency. I went with. Will I tell you?
Yeah, go for it. Downey's definitely at 6.
Yeah. Rob Downey 6. Yeah, and then I went Jason Sampson 5 and Paddy Levy 7.
Oh wow! Jeez, they've given a good spread there.
Yeah, I just thought, like, look, again, Offaly, look, getting promotion up, and he was one of the leaders, obviously, on the team. I thought he was solid wing back for any time I saw him again. Paddy Levy, the very same, never gives the ball away. Can play across the half back line, can play in midfield as well. But just, I thought there the other day as well.
I questioned that about Paddy Levy now a small bit. A tactic. I don't know if I said this before. I might have had on with Shane before, maybe last year. I think when he actually is let strike the ball, I don't think the ball going in is advantageous as advantageous as somebody else striking it in. I'll put it to you that way. Maybe you think I'm mad. If Paddy Levy got the ball, I would sit off him completely. I would not engage at all, and I would not let him do the brick flick, and I'd let him strike at 80 yards.
So funniest. I was commentating on a match. It was the league last year, Waterford, and it might have been Clare. And Paddy Levy was playing as the sweeper, and he got 2 points because they sat off him. And I was like, "What the hell?" Like, I think I saw him score a point for Ballygunner as well in a club game, but I also saw him hit 2 or 3 wide in Croke Park in a club game as well. Where
against Ballyhale, I think.
Yeah, where they sat off him and let him shoot.
Yeah.
But then next thing, the following season, then he scored 3 or 4 long range points that I saw in person. I was going, geez, right, that's obviously something he's after adding.
Yeah.
Because he never hits it. It's always he takes a couple of steps and gives it to Jamie Barron, or he gives it to Conor Sheen, or he gives it to whoever. He flicks it out to Hogan, or he flicks it to whoever, and he just does his job and then gets back into position. So that's why there's no frills, there's no nothing about him. Like, he's not, he just does his job and he does it kind of to the letter. Basically.
Can I just say, a lad like that, and this is my personal opinion, who knows his limitations somewhat, is an absolute dream for a manager.
Yeah.
Absolute dream. If you had 15 lads like that just knew what they were good at and stuck to it, like, accentuate the positives, downplay the negatives. It's beautiful. Because he, as you say, he always does the right thing with the ball. He passes it off. If there's somebody better, that's, a better hurler or whatever outside you should always try and give it to them. And a lad that knows that, because I tell you something, there's a hell of a lot of lads that don't know it.
Yeah, too many. Jeez, too many. But and the other side of it too then is, like, when you're playing with somebody like Paddy, and when he gets it, he'll give it to me now. If I run and go for it, he'll actually give it to me.
Exactly.
So yeah, no,
hey, come here, because we all know the lad that he can make the run and you have a fair chance you're not going to get it, and then lads actually stop making the run because they know they're not going to get it.
Yeah, I used to play with a fellow, and he'd be wing forward, and he didn't know his limitations, and every time he wound up to shoot, I ran in at the goal, and I don't know how many scores I got off it because he dropped short. He couldn't reach the goal from 50 yards. So it was always when he wound up, I ran. But then there'll be other lads, when they wind up, no bother. You just don't bother because it's going wide or over the bar, like, or whatever. Like, so, but there's certain lads you need to know who you're playing with. You really.
I remember somebody telling me that there for a while, every time Pádraig Matter got the ball when Tip were playing Kilkenny, that the minute he got the ball into his hand, the Tip lads would just sprint back towards the goals. They'd actually leave there, because remember for a while he used to strike everything long. It was like, and he'd like nearly take the paint off the ball. Yeah. And then obviously and it was brilliant for a while, but then maybe teams start reading it. And then all of a sudden, if Kilkenny start doing that, a lad starts coming short and he starts giving the short ball as well. It's funny. I'm gonna challenge. I know you're trying to get an Offaly man in, but I'm gonna try and plump for Dermot Burns wing back, because there was big question marks about him maybe after the end of last year, and it was maybe only in a couple of games, but we saw enough in a couple of those games to think this lad is right back at those levels, and accuracy levels as well, that basically that he will need to be at if Limerick are going to win something this year.
Yeah, he was unbelievable that day against Tip. Absolutely unbelievable that day. And I know I give Barry Murphy man the match, but like, he just, it could have been either of the two of them. It was one of the best displays of wing back I think I've ever seen. He was incredible.
Yeah. Half back line of Dermot Burns, Rob Downey, Paddy Levy. Perfect. So far, we have Fanning, O'Leary, Mark Fitz, Murray from Down, Dermot Burns, Downey, and Paddy Levy. What are you looking at for midfield?
I went with Colin Spain and Tim O'Mahony.
Okay, good. Okay, that means they're only allowed put in one Cork forward.
Yeah, no, this was the thing with this one now, because like midfield this year, like there was no. Tim O'Mahony just dominated midfield in every single game I saw, and it was like a case of like, right, look, he has to go in. He has to go in. I just thought and it's the same with Niall O'Leary, the same with Rob Downey. There was no better 2, there was no better 6. They had to be on the team.
Well, when you have to make the decision, and lads have to be left out and lads have to be in, to me, what we've picked so far, Tim O'Mahony was my 5th one for Cork. He was the one that just misses out. But I tell you something, he's abrasive. He always gives the right ball into the forward. The ball for Connolly's goal, most teams don't even give that ball. Most teams just rattle the ball over the bar. And as I said, I think it was Pat Ryan a few weeks ago, from a defender, that ball is impossible to defend. Impossible.
And when I don't know if I've ever seen anyone like him as consistent for the last 3-4 years. When he breaks through, nobody catches him. Nobody stops him. Nobody catches him, and it's havoc. Because if you come to him, he just pops it over your head to a free lad. If you leave him off, he's going to go to hold it in and score a goal or score a point or whatever, and you're not catching him from behind. So I just thought, look, and a nice mix there between super athletic freak and lovely little small hurler. I just thought with the two lads, with Colin Spain and Tim O'Mahony, like.
They couldn't be much more different.
Not that Colin Spain isn't athletic, but like I just think that's a nice mix. It's like Michael Fennelly and Chaff Fitzpatrick kind of a thing.
Yeah, okay. I think Craig Morgan was very good for Tip. Maybe up until the league final. I'm playing in a new spot. Really, really good on the ball. He's very, very close to that. Colin Spain was quiet the other day, Nisha.
I know he was. I know he was. But like I'm not only basing this on Sunday either.
He was quiet against Dublin as well, and I'm speaking about my own here.
Yeah, no, I know. But like, and again, I mean, you could have said Cian Lynch because there was a couple of things he did when he was playing midfield were brilliant. Like you could say Colin O'Neill, but it was it was one of them things where brilliant, but like flashes. Like it's like I'm basing mine on just kind of the overall consistency of from the start of the league to the end of it, but not solely based on Sunday either. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
And it's like that's the way I'm doing it. Like I don't know, whatever.
I went with Morgan and O'Mahony. Well, I actually didn't have O'Mahony, but you've kind of talked me into O'Mahony because I do think he was probably in their top 4, definitely top 5. Could we go Morgan and O'Mahony?
Go on, yeah.
What's your half? I'll read out my half forward line. I've Jamie Barron at wing forward. I know he was playing centre, but I have him at wing forward. I've Darragh Fitzgibbon at centre forward. I played most of his hurling there. And Cian Kenny fleeted between 11 and 8 and 9. But I actually think that he is becoming their go-to man in the forward line and one of their most intelligent players now.
Cian Kenny,
yeah. I thought he had a Super League. You don't agree by the looks of things?
No, I thought there was some things he did were brilliant and other things. Again, he'd have been like there against Cork. The way they used him was really, really smart. Where they tried to suck up Downey, and then it was a case of if Downey doesn't come with him, use Cian, and they did, and he was really good. But yeah, I mean,
no. But I tell you what, now the way I picked that half forward line, and the three of them are actually playing centre forward. So we can't do that because at the end of the day, when push comes to shove in the game, we can't really throw puckouts down on the top of the three of them. Do you know what I mean? There has to be a bit of balance. So I'm probably more easily swayed to take Kenny out than somebody else. Who are we talking from your half forward line?
I went with again. Right, look, I just thought when they weren't going well, he stayed going well, and then I saw him playing a couple of games where he was absolutely brilliant. So I went with James McNaughton from Antrim. He's one of the top scorers in the league as well. I just think, again, it's just one of the things you have to recognise, not just from frees. Like that, if anyone was watching that Laois game, he was head and shoulders above everybody. He was absolutely brilliant that day. So I went with James McNaughton, Shane Barrett at 11, and Mossy Keown at 12.
So Darragh Fitzgibbon's not in your team?
Oh no, he was my fifth. Because it was
so you have the big fella full forward, I assumed, yeah.
Who?
Hayes.
No, sure. There's my 4. Shane Barrett from Cork. That's my 4.
All right.
My 4 from Cork are Niall O'Leary, Rob Downey, Tim O'Mahony, and Shane Barrett. I just thought again, it's one of these things. I just thought Barrett from the start to the end of the league was making their forwards tick. I know, like Darragh Fitzgibbon was getting on the end of things. Brian Hayes was absolutely. This is the thing, is like you could have picked any of the Cork forwards in all 6 really, but when you're stuck to 4, I'd have just thought my favourite one of the Cork forwards this year in the league was Barrett, just because he was like little honey badger there, where he was tackling, he was running back, he was working, he was hooking, he was blocking, and then he'd always get 2 or 3 points, and then there was next thing then he'd explode and get 1-2 or 1-3, or he was winning frees and he was setting up goals. I just thought consistency, not just scoring. I don't mean the flashy stuff when you turn on the highlights, you go, that was unreal, like just as an overall player, I just think he's kind of underrated, and I just thought he was like at a really, really high level of 7 or 8 out of 10 in every single game, and then the odd game where he jumped it to about 9. So I think he's hardy, he's bowled, he's tough, and he can hurl, and he's athletic and fit and all. Like he looks good, and again, I think championship wise, I think he has another gear and could be unbelievably dangerous. And hopefully, he doesn't. From a Cork point of view, hopefully you'd be hoping he doesn't get injured.
Yeah. Does Stephen Bennett come into your team?
Yeah.
Okay, he's in the full forward line. Brian Duggan's in the full forward line as well.
Yeah.
And who do you have at 14?
So I actually went with Darren McCarthy, Brian Duggan, and Stephen Bennett, just because Darren McCarthy was top scorer in the league, and you kind of go, now look, you could take him out, and you could put in anybody else all you wanted, like whatever, but it's just, you know, I mean, like, geez, at the end of the day, for a fella at 19 or whatever age he is to be the top scorer in the league is kind of class. You know, and he was, like, outside of him, like, where are the kind of highlights for tips forwards, you know?
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. Jake Morris, to a lesser extent, I would say, had a decent league. We're going to have to trash out this half forward line a bit more.
Yeah, okay.
I cannot leave Darragh Fitzgibbon off this team.
So this was the thing. I was like, my argument was with myself was between Darragh Fitzgibbon and Tim O'Mahony. That was the thing.
Okay.
I was like,
what did Brian Hayes do to you?
He missed a couple of games.
He did not.
Or sorry, when you can only pick 4. Sorry. When you can only pick 4, I was like, sorry, I was thinking of Conley there. When you can only pick 4, I was like, well, I'll just go with, you know, I was like, I'll go with Shane Barrett. I liked him the most personally. It's one of the things. Obviously, like if you said to me, hey, free reign there, I'd have had Barrett, Fitzgibbon, and Brian Hayes.
Yeah.
But there's 3 of the 6 forwards. But then it's like, and also you would have added a couple of more. I probably would have had 2 Cork midfielders as well. Like, you know, so it's like, but no, you know, you want 4. So there's my 4 is Niall O'Leary, Rob Downey, Tim O'Mahony, and Shane Barrett was my 4 from Cork.
Okay, I can't.
But again, like you could have had 6 or 7. You could have told me Patrick Horgan, and I would barely argue with you either. I go, yeah, you know, you could have 8 Cork lads in this team, like.
Yeah, you could. Definitely 6 anyway. It's probably 6 that probably deserve it. All right. The half forward, I can't give you Shane Barrett, and I think Shane Barrett's a brilliant player. I have to have Darragh Fitzgibbon in at 11.
Grant.
Okay. I'm kind of keen enough on Barron in the half forward line as well. Cian Kenny would be the one that would drop out, but who would go in? We can't use the Cork man. James McNaughton, you were very keen on.
James McNaughton or Mossy Keown, again, from a Kilkenny point of view.
Yeah. Sorry now. Come on now. In fairness.
Mossy Keown did things this year I didn't think he was able to do at all. And from a Kilkenny point of view, I just thought he was definitely the highlight of the league. He had to be. Cian Kenny, yeah. But Mossy Keown.
No. Cian Kenny was good. Mossy Keown was on a different level now.
Yeah, like that day, the first day against Clare, that score he got off his hurl, like, you know, obviously he got man the match in that game. So I just thought Mossy Keown, now he wasn't brilliant against Cork, but it looked like they were trying to do something with him to take out the half back line, to create a pocket, a hole behind him, which I thought was odd, because I was like, well, he's been your best and most consistent forward, and he's an animal. Give him the ball. So he was quiet against Cork, but again, it was a strange. I think tactically they were trying to do a strange thing with him, creating a pocket kind of in and around him, which was odd, because he couldn't get on the ball, and they were like avoiding him kind of, or going way over him. But look, I'd have Mossy Keown on the league team of the year every day of the week. He's one lad now. Like, I'd argue with you about any of the rest of them, but Niall O'Leary, Rob Downey, and Mossy Keown, I'd be kind of saying, and Tim O'Mahony, actually, to be fair, I'd be saying them 3 lads have to be on it, like, or them 4 lads have to be on it.
I'll go with that. A couple of lads now, honourable mention that we didn't even mention yet. Richie Lawler was brilliant wing back for Wexford, and
yes.
I remember even against Clare, he's not a natural half back. Like, he would have played further up the field, but he was catching ball and driving forward. It's almost like the converted forward to half back if they're able to get the basic defensive stuff right, they have all the attacking instincts already that you need to have in modern hurling. I think Conor Hearn definitely deserves to mention middle of the field as well. He's a real dog of war middle of the field. The sort of lad that every team needs at least one. You need one in defence, preferably one in the middle of the field, and at least one up front as well. But he's a real pig for work and complements whoever is around him. Do you know what I mean? They're two lads out that I definitely would have had in the conversation.
Like Lions and Waterford as well, I think,
Yeah. I think we've pretty much agreed in our team. We'll get a graphic put together after the show and throw it up online and see what people think. But we're looking at Mark Fanning, Wexford, Niall O'Leary, Cork, Mark Fitzgerald, Waterford. What's Murray's first name again, Nisha? Tom Murray down, cornerback. Derek Burns, wing-back, Limerick. Rob Downey, centre-back, Cork. Paddy Levy, wing-back, Waterford. Craig Morgan, midfield, Tip. Tim O'Mahony, midfield, Cork. Jamie Byrne, Waterford. Dara Fitz, Cork. And Massey Cohen, Kilkenny's the half-hour line. And Dara McCarthy, Tip. Stephen Bennett, Waterford. And Brian Dignan, Offaly. Yeah, I don't... With the caveat of there only been 4 Cork allowed, I don't think we've, like, commenting there from One Trick Pony says Aidan O'Connor, glimpses, I would say, and some significant enough glimpses deserves a mention, all right, but I don't know if, like, I wouldn't be happy leaving any of the rest of them out. I'll put it
and it's the same argument. There's no Limerick lads there, whereas, like, when I was at that, I was doing the commentary in the Limerick and Tip game, like, some of the things that some of them lads were doing, you're just like, this is unbelievable, but, like, again, it was like that one game, and they just deflated. Then they kind of, I don't know, they just dribbled out of the league, like, it was odd. And then again, one Kilkenny lad, no Wexford lads, fair enough.
I think, to be honest with Janisha, Kilkenny had a very, very patchy league. Limerick had a very patchy league as well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Galway too, like, you know, because like Burns there played and he was brilliant there in one game, and then, you know.
Yeah, so. Gavin Lee based on one game. You know, but you're based on a one game, and it's the Kilkenny game, really. Do you know what I mean?
Couple of things, like just a couple of defences obviously were fairly dominant in the league between Division 1A, 1B and 2, right? Score differences down. Their score difference plus 70. Kildare's, this is nuts. Kildare's score difference was plus 82. Cork's was 41. Waterford's was 64. And Dublin's was 41 as well. So,
wow, okay.
So, like, that's pretty good. They're good signs of, like Down in Kildare, for example. Obviously, they were the 2 teams in the league final in Division 2. But, like, when you put down a score difference like that, it's like that thing we were talking about. The mark of a good team is when you know you're better than the other team, you kill them. And the two of them did that in Division 2. They really separated themselves from the pack. And then a couple of players, 2 more down lads. Tom McGrattan, their top scorer. And if anyone hasn't seen this fella play either now, Pierce Og McCrickard.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God, class. Anyway, and then Jack Reed.
Nisha, I put this out on last week's show. I think Down are a really good bet for the McDonagh.
Yeah,
they're rank outsiders. Like rank outsiders. They're 25-1. It's a third of the odds. It's a third of the odds if they get to the final. So it's an 8-1 win if they get to the final. Now they have a very tough start. I think they're away to Carlow, home to Laois, and away to Westmeath. But and that's tough opening games. But I put it this way: they have the form in the bank to beat Kildare, and Kerry are not going hectic this year. And I wouldn't be blown away by Westmeath or Laois either. I think Carlow are searched to get to the final, and they're probably the most likely winners. But I think you could throw a blanket over probably Down, Westmeath, and Laois, and I'm willing to go at that price. I'm willing to have a punt at that price.
Down, 100%, and Down having Laois at home, huge advantage. So that's a big one. That is a big one.
They're on a bit of a crest of a wave as well, like, you know what I mean? It's not the most competitive McDonagh I've ever seen. I'll put it to you that way. I think Carlow are a cut above. Amazingly, there's 3 teams at the same price at the head of the betting. Carlow, Westmeath, and Laois are all 11-5. And to me, I was only chatting on the boys about this. To me, Carlow should be 13-8. Laois should be 5-2, and Westmeath should probably be about 5-1. And Down should be about 8. Down should be about 8 or 9-1.
Yeah, would you have down behind Westmeath in the betting? That's a funny one.
I would, just because it's based on it's Division 2 versus Division 1B. In fairness, Westmeath beat Carlow in their last game. You'd probably say it was a nothing game or whatever, maybe. I'd have down very close to Westmeath, but I think I always said to Shane about on ratings for horses, you put a P beside a horse that you think could progress or improve a lot. Down are the one that gets the P. Down could improve a hell of a lot over the next while.
Big time. And then just another couple of players there as well, just from the maybe lower divisions, like, because I know we don't get to see them as often or whatever, but Jack Regan for me as well. I know you've probably seen him playing up close as well. In club
close quarters, yeah.
Oh my God. One of the cleanest and purest strikers of a ball I've ever seen. But like put up a ferocious score with Meath, David Qualter from Kildare as well, and then Marty Cavan obviously from Carlow. Like just keeps doing it. He just keeps doing it. So like the championship's going in there. I know actually Christy McNaughton, the Cushendall man playing with Derry, put up a fairly tidy score in Division 2 as well for Derry. So but yeah, no, there's a couple of teams teed up nicely going into the championship. It's just like, let's say for example there with the McDonough, like Carlow, you're kind of going, they're a step above, they should come out of it, right? Whereas like, you know, I'd actually prefer to see just add an extra team into Leinster and have Carlow be that extra team and then let the other lads fight out the McDonough. Do you know what I mean?
The problem with that is, I agree with you, Nisha. The problem is they're probably changing the structure every couple of years.
I know.
But based on the form of a team currently, do you know? And I don't know if there's a silver bullet there, to be honest with you. I think there's always going to be there's going to be the potential mismatches in either competition, no matter what way you do it. Carlow are in, this is the best probably Carlow team ever, and you want to maximize it, but you know what I mean?
It's just that then and I suppose it has to be maybe in some ways, but it's just then that the Leinster, the top, is so cutthroat for the teams trying to progress that like it's like anti-progression, you know, going up and down and up and down. Like let's say like Offaly come up this year and like go straight back down.
It'll be a nightmare.
Like, and you're like, come on. We're a year ahead, but now we're 2 years behind, and you know it's like
but they're like Nisha, Carlow beat. Like, this has happened 2 years in a row. Westmeath had the best result in their hurling history ever, beating Wexford down in Wexford Park. A week later, they were relegated. Carlow had their best result ever in their hurling history against Drom Kilkenny last year. A week later, they were relegated. And it was the most dubious of all dubious red cards involved in that, with Chris Nolan getting sent off for an incident before half-time. And then the referee lands out like, Jesus, talk about doing your business the wrong way. If you think that's a red card, you at least go to the dressing room and tell them immediately at half-time, like, my God above. That is prehistoric stuff.
This is the thing that, like, do you remember I was telling you I was talking about this before, that somebody had told me that, like, at half-time, the linesmen will say, like, hey, what were you doing there? That should have been a red card. So that must have been what happened there. That somebody was like, hey, you missed that there. That was a red card.
Imagine the boys in the referee's room. Boys, the match is just starting in a minute. What are we going to do? Well, we give them a red stall.
I'm
not saying that's what happened.
But this is the thing, is just like, walk out there and give them a red card instead of just going, well, look, I missed it.
Yeah.
We're just going to play on. Like, you know. But anyway, look, I think after the league, the championship is teed up nicely. And please God, the weather stays like this. And we get like just, I actually can't wait, because there's so many after the league, like, as well. And this probably happens every year, but there's so many teams where you're like, God, I wonder what they're actually going to be like.
This year's the worst for that, 100%.
Yeah, like not only the Munster teams, but like Leinster, like what the hell are Kilkenny, Galway, Dublin, and Wexford going to be like? Like, what are they going to be like?
Yeah,
you know?
I have a fair idea. I think Wexford finished the league very well. I think they're in a good spot going into Leinster. I have to say, I think they're in a good spot starting off. Dublin, I think, are in a good spot as well. But you have to take a bit of it on. You have to take some of it. You have to take it with a kind of pinch of salt as well. You're going to have to see it, you know, to believe it. But just quickly, some hurling games this weekend. Obviously, the Ring Racker Mar are all starting this weekend. Saturday as the Christy Ring round 1. Derry against Donegal is a tasty enough one to kick that off. Obviously Donegal had that big result against Kerry during the league.
Yeah, but then Derry then beat Donegal then in the league after, like, which was according to all accounts and everything, like, was an unbelievable performance, and they like just showed up and played really well and was their best performance in the league. So like that championship match, that's again teed up lovely there.
Yeah, Wicklow against Tyrone, and they have Meath against London. Meath were relatively close in Division 2. They were still playing for something in the last game, playing for promotion. London would be disappointed. They were beaten in that Division 3 final, and they left a lot of wives behind by all accounts. And in the Nicky Racker, they have Mayo and Roscommon. Nice little local derby there. Sligo against Louth. Louth had a right good win in Division 4. A couple of Offaly lads playing, actually. Conor Clancy's in the goals and Leon Fox is centre back. They're both stationed up around there. And in the Lorimar, then you have Monaghan and Leitrim and Lancashire and Longford. And just checking if there's any more on Sunday. Yeah, Nicky Racker on Sunday as well. Fermanagh against Armagh. And you have Warwickshire against Cavan in the Lorimar Cup. We obviously have the Camogie finals this weekend as well. It is Offaly are playing Derry in the Division 2 final, and it's Cork and Galway in the Division 1 final. Both of those are Sunday in Semple Stadium. I think I can't find it there, but I'm pretty sure it's a double header in Semple Stadium. It's that we're nearly there, Nisha. We're 10 days out. This time next week we'll be like kids on Christmas Eve.
I'm telling you, and New York are still to come into the Lorimar as well. They parachute in at semi-final level, I think it is, because I think the semi-final and final gets played off within a week, so they're flying over and staying.
Oh, very good. Okay.
Yeah, this is what I heard now during the week. So just in case they win the semi-final, they'll stay on then for the final and fly home after. So
has that been confirmed? I know they won that Connacht League there the year before last, and they were trying to get a lot more going there. I'll have a little look into that.
Well, this is what I heard during the week anyway, from one of the players' brothers. That was what the story was anyway. So I don't know. Just official confirmation, I don't know yet, but this is what I heard anyway during the week from one of the lads' brothers who plays on the team. I was like, right, that's fairly cool, like, yeah. So yeah, no, big time, yeah. It's one of them things where don't text me, don't ring me, no nothing. When the match is on, that's it. Like, just stay quiet. I don't care what the weather is on. I don't care what the weather is like outside when I'm watching the match.
I can't handle distractions. When I'm watching hurling, like my idea of worst nightmare is watching a hurling match in a pub. Literally, worst nightmare. If Egypt's, well, obviously there's drink involved, so there's always going to be Egypt's going around the place. There's noise. You can't hear what's going on. You can't really see what's going on. People are distracted. It's an absolute. I like watching hurling by myself.
Yeah.
It's like you just need in this kind of zen state, just taking it all in.
But like, and then the other side of it too is it's your job. You don't need every Tom, Dick, and Harry coming up and giving you their opinion. That's absolute crap as well. Like,
no, to be fair, I actually don't mind listening to people's opinions, but give it to me after a game or before a game. Not when you're in a pub drinking. It's just like, stop talking. Just stop talking. Let's not talk serious business here. Like, right? Just be quiet. Or talk to me about just general crap, like not about what you think they should be doing for fitness when you never talked out in your life. This kind of stuff, like. But anyway, you hear some great because I actually got one sent to me on WhatsApp there the other day. I'll send it to you after. It's one of the best, worst rumors I've ever heard.
Is that not the thing I sent to you last night?
Oh, was that you that sent it to me? Oh, maybe it was you, was it? Yeah. But like I remember hearing one. Where was I? I was going for dinner or going for lunch or something like that, and there was an old fella at the bar. He was waiting to get his food, delivered down to him or whatever. And he had me convinced, or was trying to convince me, that JP McManus had built a gym in like the garden of every Limerick player. Like, you know what I mean? I was like, I actually kind of like humor people because I get a great laugh out of it. Then you could be laughing about it for a week after. There's no point in nipping it in the bud because you just never know how far these people will go with this kind of long-winded. It's brilliant. Some of the stuff here is top class. I have to say. And when I'd be in lads, companies and nights out now, I won't be drinking or anything. And the longer the night goes on, the better the stuff you hear. Like, and I'm glad to be able to remember it the next day. I'd never stick in anyone with something that they don't want to hear, but that funny stuff, that's all grand. I no problem bringing that back up.
Yeah.
But Nisha, thanks very much for your time.
No
I
matter.
appreciate that. And we'll chat to you. We'll be chatting to you after round 1 of the Munster and Leinster Championships. God only knows what we'll be dissecting and who won and who lost. But
who do you think 3-3 to come out?
I think Waterford will go really close, but ultimately I still think Clare are going to come out. I think it'll be Cork 1, Limerick 2, Clare 3. And the scenario that you said about Cork winning Munster and Limerick maybe avenging that down the line, I wouldn't be a million miles off that. Leinster is Kilkenny. Kilkenny, I still think Galway will be second. Kilkenny, Galway, Wexford. I think Dublin might just miss out, but you could throw a blanket over a good few. Give me yours there quick.
I think Cork, Limerick, Waterford, Kilkenny, Dublin, Wexford.
Okay.
And I don't know.
Galway.
Don't think so. And I don't know what the hell Antrim are going to be like either. You'd be hoping they'd improve an awful lot. Who knows what Offaly are going to be like as well. But that'll be a dogfight at the bottom between them two, I suppose. But yeah, I think Dublin, Wexford, Kilkenny.
Good man. Nisha, we'll talk soon. All right, good man. Thanks, man. Great old hurling chat with Nisha there as always. And delighted to be joined by Adam Moynihan to chat through the football. Adam might jump in. Adam, how are you?
How are you, Bernie? All good.
Good. Underwhelming opening weekend of championship football, or what were your kind of main takeaways?
Yeah, so like it's the time of year. The sun is shining. Like the evenings are getting longer. I hear the 2E talking about hurling and looking forward to the Munster Championship and all the rest of it. And it's just every year I get this kind of, you get excited at the idea of the championship, and then it starts, and you're like looking at the fixture list. You're going, there's a lot of games here that are not going to be good viewing. Like I think it's just the same old problem with the provincials. There's too many mismatches. I think 6 of the 9 games last weekend, there was a 10 plus points margin of victory in 6 of the 9 games. Looking ahead to the next 2 weekends, like there's 12 games over this weekend and next weekend. Like the average handicap is 8 points across those 12 games. And like, okay, fair enough. There's a couple of those that are big, like, Dublin and Wicklow, that's a 17-point handicap. And you've Mayo and Leitrim, that's 19 that bumps
Dublin
it up.
and Wicklow is 17.
I believe so, yeah. I believe so.
Oh, that'll be covered, won't it?
Yeah.
Oh, that'll be covered under
maybe it's 9. No, hang on a second. No, I think that's right. But anyway, it's I thought that'd be higher. But like, they're 1 to 200. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, so like in a 2-horse race, like, so it just like you do get excited about the idea of championship. Like I said, like it's the most important competition, but it's just like the new rules that have probably put people in a good mood, and you're kind of looking forward to football again, as opposed to last year when you're worrying about kind of non-events. But I don't know. I have the same. I'm saying the same thing every year, and I'm sure those people are the same. Like it's like Munster Championship in football. There's 6 teams, and 3 of them at the start haven't got a hope. You know what I mean? Like 3 of the 6 teams haven't got a hope. There's 2 teams in the Munster Championship that haven't won Munster since the 1800s. Like in a 6-team competition, like what's the point of that? Like, do you know what I mean? It doesn't serve them to go out and get hockeyed by, we'll say, Kerry or Cork or whatever. It doesn't suit Cork or Kerry to go out and hammer teams. And I just don't really get it. And Leinster, Leinster's, like Dublin are getting underway this weekend. They're going for 15 in a row. I was looking at the results in their finals in the last 14 years. They've scored 32 goals in those 14 finals. Their opponents have scored 7. Like, you're just like teams in Leinster, you feel bad for them. Like, and like if you took Dublin out of it, there'd be some interesting matches there. Do you know what I mean? That could be a nice kind of mini league or whatever, a nice mini championship in there. But it's just like, I don't know, like they're 1 to 10 to win Leinster. It's like what's the point of it? I just think like they're switching back to a new structure again next year, or they're switching to a new structure where they're getting rid of the group stages in the All Ireland Championship. It's going to be a backdoor knockout system. 16 teams. It's based on the 8 teams in the provincial finals and the next 7 plus 7 from the league standings, and then the Italian Cup winners. But like, I'd definitely be in favour of not necessarily scrapping the provincials, but moving them to the start of the year before the league. Play them off then as standalone competitions. then you play the league, and then you run the league straight into the championship, where your seeding is based on league standings in the league. So 1 to 16, you have, if Dublin win the league, they're ranked number 1, and then the bottom team, or maybe the Tailteann Cup team, will say, for example, might be the lowest seed. They're playing against Dublin in round 1, and there's a backdoor system then. And I just think, like, I know it's hard to change things like that in the GA, but as you said, it's a time of year where you're supposed to be getting excited about these games, and there's just too many one-sided matches. And I, for one, anyway, like, I'm looking forward to the group stage, and even that might not be great fare sometimes either. But like, it's just, when the league is so competitive, you teams of the similar level playing against each other, like, that's the enjoyable part. And then you have just complete, like, Division 1 against Division 4. It's just, I don't see the point of it anymore.
Yeah, I do think there are some good Leinster games this weekend, and there's a hell of a lot on the line. On the side of the draw that Dublin aren't on, you have Kildare and Westmeath in Connaught Park on Saturday evening. Tough enough game to call, to be fair. You basically have the bottom team in Division 3 and the top team, and the team that was beaten in the final of Division 3. So, like, they're right on top of each other, like, form-wise, basically. And then the winners of that play either Louth or Laois, and that's also in Connaught, and that's in Connaught the next day as well. And there's obviously Tailteann Cup ramifications for 3 of the 4, whoever doesn't get to the final, basically. And I'm even thinking, like, from a Kildare point of view, they can ill afford really to be in the Tailteann again. Westmeath won it a couple of years ago. Do you know what I mean? They don't want to be going down that path again. Louth were in the last 2 Leinster finals. It's going to take another Leinster final appearance to avoid it. And Laois are the ones that people probably are ruling out of that 4, even though they had a good win against Wexford last weekend, and are a little bit dangerous coming in this weekend. But Louth, I think, I think Craig Lennon is back fit. He trained last weekend. Grimes trained last weekend. I think Kieran Byrne trained last weekend. They basically need to keep going as long as they can and get Mulroy back on the pitch. But they are interesting enough games to throw Offaly Mead into it as well. I think Offaly are a decent price, actually, in around 3-1, 7-2, something like that. They obviously beat Mead the last time they played them in championship as well. The elephant is obviously, the big giant sky blue elephant is Dublin. But outside of that, as you said, they are tasty enough kind of games in their own right.
Oh, definitely. Like, there's sort of a mini competition in there as well, you know, and it is kind of, it does have its own interest, I suppose. Like that Kildare Westmeath match, going by the odds, that's what the bookies reckon is going to be the closest game the next 12 matches in the next 2 weekends. I think it's like, I don't know, or it's like 11-10 or whatever, you know. It's a really close one. But yeah, look, there are things to play for. And definitely, look, I think look, I saw a bit of Offaly that day up in Croke Park when they were on before Kerry. I thought they looked impressive. No, look, it's Meath are obviously going to be favourites still, but I think they could definitely. I think I agree with you on that price, that it seems like, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if that was a close game. And yeah, look, there's little things that riding on it in terms of the Sam Maguire. But we're kind of depending on Ulster really to kind of entertain us for the provincials, and there's a couple of games on this weekend. Now, having said that, Antrim and Armagh, I mean, like, Armagh, all things being equal, and like that, you'd expect them to win that pretty handy. Like, you wouldn't know. Look, it's a small venue and this kind of crack. You don't know what's going to happen, but like Armagh to probably win that, and then Tyrone Cavan again, like, could be a decent game, but like Tyrone are going to be strong favourites for that. So even with an Ulster, you have these matches where they're not really expected to be close. So yeah, look, we'll enjoy it the best we can, but it's certainly not. It's not very tantalising. Like, I think it'll be later in the summer before we get really good, exciting, high-octane championship matches under the new rules, which is what I think we're all excited about. It's
the weekend of the tight, small venues, isn't it? Like, what's Corrigan? 3,000, I think. Ockram is 6,500. A lot of the thing about these games will probably be, the best part will be the anticipation of it and the build up to it and the atmosphere beforehand when the parade. Do you know what I mean? Because a lot of the thing with sport is the best part. Like, that's why I always find if people don't get excited about something that's coming up, like, that's often the best part, because like, a lot of times it doesn't live up to expectation. When it lives up to expectation, like, you're talking about, like, say, the All-Ireland hurling final last year, the All-Ireland hurling semi-final last year, something like that, and it's like your mind is blown. But a lot of times you have to get fair excited beforehand, because if you don't, like, you're probably not getting excited at all. But they're two kind of novel enough kind of games. I think Armagh were in Corrigan last week doing an open training session, which was great, and that they kind of embraced the venue now that it's been made. And kind of same with Auckland as well. There's going to be Dublin season ticket holders or Parnell Park ticket holders that are going to be left disappointed or whatever. But I think there's probably a bigger picture at play, really, isn't there, in the promotion of games, both up in West Belfast and probably in Wicklow as well. But realistically, well, Wicklow are going to find it tough. Antrim could give Armagh something to think about for a while at least.
Yeah, you wouldn't know, but I think you're right. It's like the small ground factor is really kind of it is probably the main exciting thing about the two fixtures. And I saw that Mushy McConville was talking about they got a really small crowd for their last game against Longford, and now they're expecting mass thousands more people to turn up for this game, even though they're probably going to lose. But it is. I like give me 7,000 people inside down in Wicklow, in a packed house, rather than 15,000 in a 25,000 stadium or whatever. Do you know what I mean? I'm all for filling out a smaller stadium rather than just maybe getting a few thousand extra, but having half the the bigger venue empty. So look, it'll be an occasion, as you said. It'll be maybe the build up is the most enjoyment they'll get out of it, because when the ball's thrown in, like Dublin, are going to be hard to stop.
Well, you can kind of, I'm always thinking of the Wicklow people and all the dubs coming in. Like, you kind of slag people off beforehand. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Michael Jordan always said about the best trash talkers. He said, anybody can trash talk before a game or when the scores are level, but give me the lad that's trash talking when they're down by 20. And I'm like, this guy is for, you know what I mean? This guy is for real. Like, he's not just a sunshine, a sunshine score merchant or anything like that, but he's actually giving it to them when they're down or whatever. But what were the kind of takeaways from last weekend? Mayo got their fill of it against Sligo by all accounts, and I know he's much maligned, but Aidan O'Shea was their best player probably for consecutive weekends in a row. Yeah,
sure. Look, it's great to see when he does that, when he's able to turn it on. He's great to watch. Like, he's all action. Do you know what I mean? He's all just fellas hanging off him, and he can be accurate. He can be effective. I think Mayo, like, the scoreline, I suppose, will probably looks better, or probably looks worse than it was. I think Sligo got a kind of a late goal and a couple of 2-pointers, and one of the 2-pointers was about 5 yards inside the arc. I don't know if you saw it, but the referee just made a mistake. But look, I think that Kevin McStay said he was happy just to get out of there with the win, but like, they should be winning that game by more, with no disrespect to Sligo. I suppose Donegal and Derry then was, you got a good look at an All-Ireland contender. Many people's probably favourite alongside maybe Kerry, but like, I think at times, like, we've spoken about Derry and their struggles. I think at times in that game, Derry were well in it. Like, they started brightly enough. Obviously, Shane McGuigan got that penalty, and he missed it, and that was a bit of a killer. Like, for a team that's low on confidence, like, that could have been a game changer for them. But even in the second half, they got a couple of 2-pointers and got it back down to 2 points, and then Donegal kind of pulled away in the end. I think, look, there's obviously no denying that they're a better team, and they're probably the strongest looking team in Ulster at the moment. Like, phenomenal pace coming out of their defence. Like, geez, like, really impressed with fellas like that Kieran Moore fella is really good. Obviously Morgan, obviously McHugh's been there a long time, but these guys they're just bombing forward. I saw one stage, like, Donegal ran the attack, and I saw Ryan McHugh down in his haunches, like he was like blowing hard. Like, I'd say the demands being placed on those guys to cover ground and get up a pace are quite high. But yeah, look, like, kind of things went as expected. There wasn't any massive shocks or anything like that. But like I said, kind of, I'd say as we're motoring along, I'd be looking maybe 2, 3, 4 weeks down the line before we really get. Well, like, Donegal are going to have Armagh in a couple of weeks' time, or sorry, Man in a couple of weeks' time. That's probably going to be, maybe for me, the first really interesting game of the championship, or the provincial championships, because Man, I think, will test Donegal. They'll be their biggest test so far, anyway. Certainly, like, so. Looking forward to that one.
You're kind of crying out for an upset this time of the year. You're crying out for your Leitrim to beat New York or something like that. That's when you get big. You won't get that many. Like, you might get upsets later in the year, but it's not going to be a David versus Goliath style upset. You know what I mean? That's what you're kind of crying out for, just to stick the match on it and get the whole thing lighting. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but like, isn't it kind of sad that we're depending on that? Like, like, it should, the game should be exciting anyway. But like, it's great. Obviously, like, when, like you mentioned, the New York thing last year, that was class. Like, that was one of the best stories of the summer, and it happened early on in the summer. But like the fact that the teams are just so far away from each other, like the Division 1 teams and Division 4 teams are in a different universe altogether. Like, you know, there's just, you can't expect those teams to really compete. And like once in the blue moon, you might get one of those like really great stories. And to be fair, like, I mean, we're talking about New York and Leitrim as if there's like, you know, a million miles between them. Like, I mean, Leitrim, you know what I mean? Like, as in, obviously it was a big surprise. It was the first time it happened, but like, that was a good game because the teams were of a similar enough level ultimately, like, you know, and that's what it boils down to. Nearly every good game that we're going to see this summer is going to be between two teams that are maybe not necessarily in the same division, but within the division of each other. You know what I mean? Like, those are going to be the games that are going to be good. And like, I don't know. I'm nearly fed up now talking about it every year at this time of year, but it's just, it can be frustrating. But look, like, you just never know. You never know. Like, hopefully we get an occasion, one good occasion this weekend where, geez, even if like Antrim do put it up to Armagh, you know, maybe they don't even have to win it. Like, if it's, you know, if it's close going into the final 10 minutes or whatever, 5 minutes, like, that'd nearly keep you going until, you know, the meteor stuff comes down the line.
Adam, I'm after putting together. I was at the Tony Dorn GA quiz a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, I'm going to test this man here. I'm after writing down. I'm after remembering 3 questions, and they're all football based questions. And I fired the 3 of them at you. Someone was on in the comments there a couple of weeks ago about the Tony Dorn quiz, and just said, "Are you going to throw some questions at us?" So I'll give you the 3 questions. And you can write down an answer, come up with an answer, but don't say them as we go along. Is that fair enough?
Yeah.
And don't look in the comments on the right hand side. We can see the comments on the right hand side. Don't believe the people anyway. Okay. First question is, who are the last team to win an All-Ireland Senior Football Championship from Division 2? So, who are the last team to win an All-Ireland Football Championship from Division 2? And obviously, when was it? Okay. So, who are the last team to win an All-Ireland Senior Football Championship from Division 2? When was it and who are they, obviously? Question 2, who's the reigning Young Footballer of the Year? So, the reigning Young Footballer of the Year. And this one require a little bit of thought. Which province has the most All-Ireland Senior Football Club Championship titles? So which province has the most All-Ireland club titles? I'll fly back through them again.
Hurling and football, obviously.
No, sorry. Football titles. All-Ireland Senior Club Football titles, yeah. So I'll fly through the questions again. The last team to win the All-Ireland Senior Football Championship from Division 2. The reigning Young Footballer of the Year. And which province has the most All-Ireland All-Ireland Club Senior Football Championships? Now, talk to me, Adam. Answer to number 1.
I could be off. I could be well off. It seems like it's too recent. It seems like something that could be further back. Did Dublin not win it in 2023?
Who?
Dublin in 2023.
Yeah, Armagh also won in 2024. Or Armagh also, yeah. Armagh in 2024. I have
that Armagh All-Ireland blocked out of my memory.
Yeah, it's actually gas. Like the last 2 All-Ireland football winners both came from Division 2. It's crazy. Reigning Young Footballer of the Year.
I can't remember his name. I can't remember.
Got an All-Star as well.
Yeah.
An All-Ireland winner.
No, I'm going to have to pass.
Oisin Connaughton.
Yeah.
And which province has the most All-Ireland club senior football titles?
I'm going to go with... No, it can't be. Munster.
It is indeed Munster. I think it's 9 different ones. I think it's 4 Kerry, I think it's 4 Cork, and Thomond definitely won it as well. But I was talked out of this on the night. I was talking to Connacht. Because there's not that many provinces. Like if you think of it, Ulster, Crossmaglen have, what do they have? The 6, I think. Do you know what I mean? So that's a big bulk of Ulster.
Yeah.
There's a few in Derry, Glen, and a couple more. And you have St. Gall's, obviously. And then I was talked into Connacht because it was what you would call it, Bridget, Salt Hill, Corofin, and a couple more. But Munster was the answer with 9. If you want to the next day and you want to come up with 3 absolutely dirty hurling questions or dirty GA questions for me, you're more than welcome.
I got one anyway, so I'm happy with that.
Yeah, that's not too bad. Good stuff, Adam. We'll be back again next Thursday where we'll be reviewing the weekend's football action, and we'll have a bumper preview of the Leinster and Munster Hurling Championship round robins when they kick off next Saturday and Sunday. Until then, we'll see you next Thursday.